What's up YouTube, Capital G here. So it looks like we have a new Goyo Synchro that's going to be released in the High Speed Riders set. It's only in the OCG for right now, but it's coming to the TCG fairly soon. And I mean, man, when they said that this set was going to be Synchro based, like they clearly weren't kidding. Not only do you have the side frames, which are obviously very Synchro based, but I mean, they're giving us all types of Synchro support and, you know, a whole bunch of throwbacks and whatnot. So this is Goyo Chaser. And as soon as you look at the card, like even if you didn't know that its name had Goyo in it, you would probably think this thing looks a lot like Goyo Guardian. It's an Earth Warrior Synchro monster, 1900 attack, 1000 defense, level 5. My first impressions of the stats were underpowered. For 1900, you had better have an amazing effect because 1900 just is not very good for level 5. Like you can go all the way back to the Duelist Genesis with Magical Android. I think it was 2400, and maybe you could argue that Magical Android was a little too powerful for a level 5, but you could probably look at cards like Cataster and Armades. I think they're 22 and 2300 respectively, and just say that's kind of where you need to be for like good baseline stats of a level 5 monster for being a synchro. Like your defense is pretty much irrelevant, you know what I mean? If this card would have been 23, 22, maybe even 2100, nah, 2200, like obviously would have been more attractive. It requires one tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. It being generic is always a good thing. Effect number 1, this card gains 300 attack for each other Earth Warrior type synchro monster on the field. Okay, like I don't understand this effect because that is so freaking specific. Like that is basically, why don't you just say if you have a Goyo Guardian on the field, this card gains like 300 attack, you know what I mean? Like I really don't understand. I mean, if it would have counted itself, that would have been fantastic because it instantly would have went to 2200 and I'd have been like, okay, we're where we need to be. But you know, it can't just be another synchro on the field, or it can't just be another Earth monster on the field. Like it has to be an Earth synchro, and it has to be a warrior. Like you can have another like copy of this, but or you can basically have like a Goyo Guardian. I mean, those are the Goyo Guardian is the first thing that I can think of as far as an Earth synchro based warrior monster that like people commonly play. But maybe effect number 2 will kind of make up for it, because effect number 1 to me is like you have a 1 in 10 chance every time this card hits the field of maybe you'll actually, you know, get that 300 attack gain. Effect number 2, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon that monster to your side of the field, but its attack is halved. You could have, like, you would have assumed that it was going to have an effect that was very similar to Goyo. As soon as I saw it, I was like, it's probably going to have something where if it destroys a monster, sends it to the graveyard, you know, it's going to be able to summon it back. Maybe it'll do something different. This effect is actually pretty good. It technically, at first I was like, this is worse than Goyo's because the attack is halved, but then it's like, no, it's technically better than Goyo, because you can actually just run something over. Like let's just say you had your opponent had a Bujin Yamato and you ran this over because it's 19 and the Yamato's 18. You could just special summon that Yamato back during the battle phase and attack for 900 damage. So it's technically better because you still get the monster just like Goyo, but you actually get the attack with it right then and there. So you could actually have like game-ending pushes with your opponent's monster. So that's really legitimate. The problem is with Goyo, like with Goyo Guardian and obviously Goyo Chaser in 2015, you know, like there are so many ways like that Goyo just won't get its effect. You could attack over a ritual monster. Obviously you can't summon that. They have to be summoned by ritual cards. You could end up attacking over a pendulum. Those don't even go to the graveyard, so you'll never be able to use its effect on a pendulum monster. Overall, this card seems decent. It just seems underpowered. Like if this card was 2400, it would be a freaking world beater. This card would be like really, really good. It would be just as good as Goyo. I think the reason that they made the stats so low is because when Goyo Guardian first came out, its stats were absurd for a level 6. I think its stats are what got Goyo banned for like two years. I think it may have been in actually even longer than 2 years, like 2.5 or 3 years, something like that. Goyo came out at 2800, and for his stats, like, he was more powerful than freaking level 8s, and he was a level 6. So that's essentially what got him banned. And I think that they didn't want the same thing to happen to this. And I think this card's creation is because in the OCG, Goyo Guardian is still banned for some dumb reason. Like, sometimes I don't get the TCG and the OCG and how we have cards at 3 that they have banned and vice versa and whatnot, because I think Goyo Guardian in the TCG is like unlimited, and you only see it in kind of like synchro based decks, Yangzing, X Sabers, Blackwings, and stuff like that. But this card is decent. I mean, I think that you're really only going to synergize it with a Goyo Guardian, and you know, if you have both of those monsters on the same field, basically you should be able to take your opponent's entire field away, you know what I mean? But overall, this card could have been much better by just giving it like 300 more attack, maybe 400 more attack. But the second effect is actually much better than Goyo Guardian. So let me know what you guys think of Goyo Chaser. The artwork is actually pretty good. People are saying it's a common, which I can't actually tell if it's a common. It could be a super or something like that. That would also translate to it's going to be a secret in the TCG. But anyways, thank you guys for watching as always. Subscribing makes life happy.